Under the dim orange glow of a single street lamp, rain drizzled gently, tapping on the tin roofs of the small houses lining the narrow alley. In one of those houses, a worn-out wooden structure barely holding its shape, lived Anaya, a widowed seamstress in her mid-40s, with her 10-year-old son, Ishan. Life had never been generous to them, their days were measured in coins and their nights in silent prayers. Anaya worked tirelessly at an old sewing machine, stitching clothes for the neighborhood to put a little food on the table. Even so, she never let the weight of her struggles dim the warmth in her eyes when she looked at Ishan. That night, as the rain pattered steadily outside, she noticed her son quietly drawing in the corner, the small stub of a pencil in his hand, his paper slightly crumpled but treated like a treasure. She smiled, unaware that in his mind, Ishan was preparing something for her, something far greater than any gift wrapped in gold. The next day was her birthday, though she hadn't celebrated it for years. In her world, birthdays were just another day to survive. But for Ishan, it was the most important day of the year. He had overheard other kids in school talking about the gifts they were buying for their mothers, flowers, dresses, perfumes, and he had felt a pang of guilt. He had nothing to give. No money, no toys to repurpose, not even candy to wrap. All he had was himself, his little hands, his love, and the stories in his heart. That night, lying on his thin mattress, he decided he would give his mother the one thing he could truly afford, his whole heart, poured into words. And so, long after Anaya had fallen asleep, Ishan sat under the faint light of a candle, scribbling on torn pages from an old notebook, writing a letter. Each word was soaked in sincerity, his gratitude for the nights she skipped dinner so he could eat, for the clothes she patched without complaint, for the times she smiled even when her eyes looked tired. He drew little. Days turned into weeks, but the letter never left her side. It was folded and refolded so many times the paper grew soft, the pencil marks faint. Life didn't suddenly get easier, there were still nights when they had only bread for dinner, still mornings when Anaya's fingers ached from stitching. But somehow, the world felt lighter, as though the letter had planted a seed of hope in her heart. She found herself humming while she worked, her eyes softer, her voice warmer. Even when she was exhausted, she would sit beside Ishan at night and listen to him talk about his day, as if his words were stories from a book she never wanted to end. Ishan, too, felt a change in himself. For the first time, he realized that love, when given without expecting anything in return, could make someone truly rich. He began helping his mother more, not because she asked, but because he wanted to. He learned how to thread needles, how to fold clothes neatly, and even started taking small errands to neighbors so his mother could rest a little. One evening, months later, a woman named Mrs. Rao, a wealthy customer, came to their house to collect a dress Anaya had mended. As she waited, she noticed the worn letter on the table and, out of curiosity, read the first few lines. Her eyes softened instantly. "Your son wrote this?" she asked, her voice tinged with awe. Anaya nodded, embarrassed. Mrs. Rao smiled warmly. "You know, this is rare. Love like this can't be taught. It's inborn." She left, but the next week she returned with something unexpected, a part-time sewing job at her boutique for Anaya. "It's not charity," she said. "It's because I see the heart in your work." The job paid better than any she had before, and slowly, their life began to shift. The roof was repaired, Ishan had proper schoolbooks, and they could afford a little more food. Yet despite these blessings, nothing matched the value of that letter, now framed on the wall, right above Anaya's sewing machine. Whenever she felt ti. Years passed, and Ishan grew into a young man with dreams bigger than the narrow alley he was born in. He excelled in his studies, earned a scholarship, and eventually moved to the city to pursue his education. It wasn't easy being away from his mother, and he missed her cooking, her laughter, her quiet humming while she worked. Every month, he sent part of his scholarship money home, but more importantly, he sent letters, pages filled with updates, encouragement, and love. Anaya kept every single one in a small wooden box, reading them on nights when the house felt too quiet. One winter, Ishan returned home after 3 years, taller and stronger, his eyes still carrying the same kindness. He came with no expensive gifts, no shiny packages, just a worn leather journal. Handing it to his mother, he smiled. "This is for you. Every day since I left, I wrote something for you in here, memories, thoughts, stories, moments I wished you were there for." Anaya opened it, her hands trembling just like they had years ago when she first read his childhood letter. The pages were filled with ink, sketches, pressed flowers, even tiny folded notes. She realized then that her son had never stopped giving her the same gift, nothing but love, wrapped in words. That night, as they sat together under the same street lamp's warm glow, they didn't speak much. They didn't need to. The silence between them was filled with years of understanding, sacrifice, and the unshakable truth that love, in its purest form, needs no decoration. It simply exists, grows, and sustains. And in that moment, Anaya knew she had received the greatest gift of her life, not once, but every single day.